Hey there, thanks for stopping by my channel to color. Today we are going to be working on this adorable Whimsy Stamps image called Mr. Frosty. Isn't he totally cute? I love him. This is a card kit, so I'll put a link down in the description box if you would like to pick him up along with all the other supplies that I have used. So I've already stamped my image on some Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, so let's color. Alright, so let's go ahead and give him a background with BG 000, 000, and our colorless blender. So I'm going to start with my darkest, which is BG 000, and I'm just going to flick away from my snowman. So I'm going to go, well, right in here, right next to his scarf. There's a little bit of the background showing, so I'm going to be careful and go right through there. Even though this BG 000 is pretty light, so if you get some on there, it's not really going to matter anyway. But I'm going to be careful about it. And we're just going to go in here, flicker over here, and I'm going to go underneath of my scarf. So I'll give it a little dab under there. And then here's a little space where it shows background. Right here's a little bit of background. And then we're going to work our way up to the top. And with these little leaves, if you get a little bit on there, that's not going to matter anyway, because we're going to color those green, so we'll color right over the top of it. So don't stress if you get a little bit of color on there. I'm going to kind of go around this leaf, flick over here, and then we're going to go over here and add a little bit on this side of our snowman. Go around our little bird. Get around this little bird. Since it's facing this way, I'm going to do a little bit less right here by his face because I want it to be a little bit lighter on this side. So I'm not going to do quite so much there. Okay, quick and easy. Okay, and then I'm going to go over that with my BG 000. So I'm going to put my pin down on top of where I stopped my BG 000, forgot what color I was using, and I'm going to add this to the ends. So I'm going to come along here, and again, if you get some on your image, it's not going to matter. And I'm going to try to fill in as much of this space as, look, I colored that leaf. See, no big deal. I'm going to try to cover in as much space up here as I can because I want it to be blue. And then later we're going to come in and we're going to, our little stamped images come with some snowflakes. So I'm going to come in and put some embossed white snowflakes in the background later. Okay, so I filled the whole thing in. Now, because it's awfully streaky, I'm going to just take my colorless blender, and this works best if your colorless blender is not empty, and I'm just going to swirl it over all of the blue. And here, this will help too, because if you got some on some of that stuff you didn't want it on, it will kind of push it off of that. So I'm swirling it over all of the blue area. And you do this first so you can swirl right over the top of the bird and all that stuff, and it doesn't even matter. And I'm just kind of squishing that ink around and making it flow together. Alright, we're going to do the birds next. For the birds' bodies, we're going to use E25, 23, 21. For their breasts, we're going to use RO5 and RO2. And for the beak, we're going to use YR15. Alright, so I'm going to do the easy part first, which is the little beak. So I'm just going to go ahead, nothing fancy, we're just going to fill it in. So give it a little dab of color. And give this side a little dab of color. Let's go ahead and do the bird's body next. So we'll start with E25. So you're going to put this down wherever you want it to be dark. So let's go ahead and add a little bit on the bottom of this little bird's body. Oh, whoops, we're going to paint that red. Well, that's no good, Heather. I forgot. We're going to do his breast, the red part. Okay, we'll just go right over the top of that. Okay, so this side, let's go ahead and do a little bit on the side of his beak. And I feel that this side I want to be darker, so I'm going to go ahead and go like a half moon on that side. Same for this side over here. Let's go with a half moon on this side. And then we're going to do a little bit on his wing and his little tail feather. And then we're going to add E23 to that. And then we'll add E21 to this other half, or this other section of his face. And I'm going to go over his head I'm going to give him a second coat, so it's not going to blend. Don't worry about that. Because we're going to come back with another coat of E25. And then we'll add our 23 to that. And then we will soften this edge with our 21. And I'm going to swipe over his entire head. That kind of helps blend those two together. So if you swipe over this little section and then you just kind of swipe back towards the back, it will swoosh it all together and make it blend out. Okay, now we're going to do the body. So we'll start with our R05. And this one here that I colored brown, I'm just going to go right over the top of that. Silly me. And then we'll go over the rest with the R02. I think I'm going to give it another little swipe. Cover up a little bit more of that brown. And then one more pass with our R02. Pretty easy. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and use my V20, and I'm going to do a little bit of color on my snow. So I'm going to add a little bit here on my stick because there's some snow on there. And then down here at the bottom, where all this snow is, I'm going to add a little color, even though later I'm going to go in and add some Stickles Stardust onto this, so it's going to be all glittery and shimmery. But for now, we'll add a little bit of shadows that you can kind of see through on behind your glitter that you're going to put on. Or if you're not going to put glitter, then you won't have to worry about that. All right, and so we're also going to use this color on some of the stripes on his hat. So I'm going to pick a stripe. So let's do this little stripe, and then we're going to skip one. We'll add a little bit to that one, a little bit to this one. And then we're going to do the same thing for the stripes on his scarf. So here's a little stripe. And I go about halfway up. And then this one is part of that stripe. And then I don't know, they didn't put any stripes on this section, but we're going to add some up here. And then a little bit on this one. And then we're going to take our colorless blender and we're just going to go right over the edge of that color on his scarf and kind of soften that edge just a little bit. Alright, so we're going to do our snowman next. For that, we're going to use for his body, we're going to use C31000 in our colorless blender. For his nose, we're going to use YR27, 16, and 12. And then for his little buttons, we're going to use W8 and 7. Okay, let's go ahead and start on our snowman body. For that, we're going to start with our C3. And let's go ahead and add a little bit over here on this little arm. So I'm just giving it a little dab right there at the bottom of his little arm. And then for this arm over here, I'm going to kind of go right where his little jacket starts right here. I'm going to start with a little line. And then as I go up, I'm going to make it a little bit wider. That. And then for his body here on the back, we're going to go, let's go where this first little big bump starts. Go from there and bring our line around to the back of his coat. And then I'm going to use that line to flick off of. So let's bring this out like this. That. And then for his head, same thing. Let's go kind of where this little snowflake is right here, up to his hat. And then I'm going to use that line to flick out here a little bit more. And there's a little dot right there that's got a snowflake. I'm going to not color that. And I'm going to go up to this little swirl that's right there on his face. Next, we're going to add C1. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little dab to this arm. So I'm not going up very much further, but I want to make sure to touch down on top of my C3. So I'm touching on the edge of my C3 and then I'm dragging it out just a little bit more because we want him to appear white but with a little bit of shadow. And right here he's got a little bit more line, so I'm going to go over that with this color, make it a little softer. And then I'm going to come down here a little bit further on his arm, soften this edge. And then we'll come in with C0, same thing, touch down on the edge of your C1. Soften it just a little bit more. So I've made it to about the middle of his hand there. I'm going to bring this color up to the edge of his hat. And then we'll go over that with our C00. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm just going to swipe over the entire area I colored. So like over here, we're going to start back here, and I'm just going to swipe this way. And this is just to soften those colors together. And if you do the snowman now, you don't have to worry so much about touching a bunch of other stuff. And that gives him just a little bit of shadow, but still keeps him white. So let's go ahead and do his nose. So for that, we'll use YR27. And I kept that kind of in a half moon down here on the bottom. And then we'll add our YR16 to that. And I'm going to give it 2 coats, so don't worry if it doesn't blend out. So we'll bring our half moon up here to these lines. And then our YR12 to fill it in. Okay, and we're going to give it 2 coats, so I'm going to go ahead and go with YR27 again. So I'm going to go right over where I previously laid it down. And this time I'm going to go just a little bit further. So let's flick it out here just a little bit more. And then we'll add our YR16. And again, I'm going to go just a little bit past where I had it the last time. And then I'm going to swipe over all of that with my YR12. So I'll fill this little tip in and then go over this back section. So for our little buttons, which are pretty small, we're going to go with W8. And what I did, I'm going to turn them around here, is I went and just did a little dot right next to where the little button strings go in. Because you don't want to get too much in there. And then with my W7, we're just going to fill this in. I'm going to very carefully go around those little strings because we don't want to color those. I'm going to leave those white, and then later I'm going to go over them with my Spica clear glitter pen and add some sparkle. Okay, let's go ahead and do his little hat and his coat. So we're going to use W8, 7, 6, and 5 for that. I'm going to start with W8, and let's go ahead and do his jacket first. So he's got a little bit of his jacket showing right here. So I'm going to do a little line right next to his little body. And then over here on this side, on the back, I'm going to go... There's a little dip right here, so I'm going to go over that little dip. And bring this color right along the back right here. Bring this out just a little bit more. Like that. And then for his hat, let's do right in here by his face. So I'm going to flick this out. I'm going to go in a little triangle. So we're going to go like this, and then we're going to bring this color out here along this rim right here. Curve it out a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to do, let's go ahead from this curve, and let's bring this color down along this line of the hat. Clear to the back. And then right here in the front, I'm going to do a little bit in front of this little patch. And let's do a little bit on top of this hat right up here. So I left a little line between the hat top and the line for the hat top. So I'm going to make that a little bit lighter so it kind of stands out. I'm going to close this little back section in a little bit. Next, we're going to add W7. So let's add a little bit to his vest right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this color up to the edge of his arm. Turn him a little bit here. I don't want to color his arm this color. So we're going to fill in this entire back section. And then for his hat, let's bring this color out a little bit. And let's go ahead and bring this color along this line. And we're going to fatten this line on the back of his hat. That. And this out. Fill in a little bit of hair on the top of our line. And then we'll add W6. So let's add a little bit to our coat. And then on this side, we're going to go with a little bit right next to his arm. And then I'm going to color this little patch right here next to his arm a different color. So don't color that in. We're going to make that be the underside of his coat. We're going to make it yellow, just to give him some color there. And then for his hat underneath, I'm going to color this little section in. So we're going to bring it all the way to the edge. Yes. Okay, and then let's bring this color up And we're going to come right along this edge of this section of hat. Yeah. And then let's color in this back section of hat. And then with our W5, we're going to fill it in. Fill in this little section underneath of his hat right there. And we're going to fill in all of this. And let me see here. I think I need to go just a little bit more up here. All right, let's do the hat band and then some of the scarf stripes. We're going to use BG 75, 72, and 70. Let's start with BG 75. Okay, so I'm going to do this little section up here where the little stars are. So I'm going to go right along the edge of the stripey section. And we're going to be careful going around those stars because we do not want those to be blue. We want those to be yellow. So I'm going to bring it up kind of to the points on both of this little star. And then for this little section, I'm going to go right along the little bottom here, and I'm going to go past that little dot. Do that back section. And we're going to grab BG 72. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill in this bottom one. And then this top one, let's go around these stars. I'm going to leave a little strip of white there at the top so I can color that with my BG 70. And I'm going to give this a second coat, so I'm not being very careful. I'm just being careful not to touch those little stars. Okay, and then I'm going to fill this little section in. My BG 70. And then I'm going to come back with a second coat of my BG 75. And then BG 72 again. And then I'm just going to leave that little white section there at the top. Okay, then we're going to come in and we're going to do his little scarf. So let's do, he's got this little patch right here under his chin that looks like it's the back of the scarf. I'm going to fill that in. And then let's go ahead and do this little section. That. And then we're going to go this one, I'm going to make this one red, then we're going to make this one blue. So let's go up And then we're going to make this one blue. And then we're going to make this one here blue. And this one, and then let's see, this one blue right here. I kind of picked every other one, so you got to kind of go through and see which colors you want there. Okay, then we're going to go BG72. And I'm going to leave a little bit of edge there so I can turn that white. We're going to color all of this in. And then I'm going to come back with a second coat. Whoops. So we're going to go with BG75 again. Let's add a little bit more color to spread around. And then we'll add our BG72. And I got a few little patches there that look like they need a swipe again, so I'm just going to swipe right over the top of those. Soften that edge a little bit. And then I got this one little white patch over here that I'm going to put my BG70 in right here. And you could, if you're worried about some of these patches, you could take this color and just swipe over the edge just a little bit and soften it a little bit more. But you don't want to use it too much because it's pretty light and it'll suck the color back off. Okay, let's go ahead and do our yellow stripes. So we're going to use YR24, 23, and Y26. So I'm going to start with my YR24. And I'm going to do the little stripes on his hat up here. And then we're going to do our little stripes on our scarf. And then we're also going to do the little spots on his coat. So like this little patch right here. And then his little sleeve right here. We're going to go the little color. And the bottom of his shirt. He's got a little patch over there, but we're going to color that a different color. Okay, and then we're going to add YR23 on top of that. So again, you're going to go right in here. You're going to touch down on 24. You're going to swipe this way. Just adding a little bit more color. That. take our Y26 to fill it in. So I'm going to fill it in, and then I'm going to take that color and I'm going to go over the entire stripe. And this color I'm also going to use to color the stars. So I'm just going to dab a little color on there. And then we'll fill in these stripes down here. Pretty quick and easy for that. Let's do the leaves. For that, we're going to use G7, 5, and 12. Okay, we're going to do G7 first. So let's go ahead and do this one here. So I'm just going to go right along the bottom. That. And then each of these leaves, let's do a little dab here at the base and then that little line. This one I'm going to do along the bottom. We got that line, and I'm just going to flick away from that line a little bit, and the bottom of this one. Next we'll add our 5. So I'm going to touch down on top of my 7, and I'm going to add a little bit more color. We're just trying to soften that edge. And then there's all these little bubble things. I'm going to go ahead and just color those in with this. I don't know what those are supposed to be. Small leaves that haven't branched out yet, I think. So I'm going to color those with my green. Okay, and then I'm going to take my G12 and I'm going to go over my leaf and fill it in. Let's hop over here and do our lantern. For that, we're going to use W7, W5, YR15, Y35, Y21, and Y00. So for our lantern, I'm going to start with W7. And let's go ahead and do this little patch on the top of the lantern. And this little patch on the bottom of the lantern. And then there's a little ball, and then there's a little ball underneath that I'm going to color in. Oh, and let's do a little stick that's holding it. Okay, next we'll add W5. So for W5, I'm going to fill in this top section of my lantern and the little ball. Easy peasy, right? And then for the light inside, we are going to do YR15. So I'm just going to go and do just a few little slashes across the front. And I kind of made it bigger at the top, so it kind of gets skinnier down here and then fatter up here at the top. And then we're going to take Y35 and fill in the rest of this. Next, we're going to go with our Y21. And we need our light to have a little bit of color. So let's go on the outside of our light. Flick some color away from our lantern. And then I'm going to take my Y00 and I'm going to go over that and I'm just going to extend it a little bit. You could totally put some color onto your snowman so the light casts over here onto your snowman, but I just don't know, yellow and snow, not for me. So he's just going to be a white snowman, but you could totally change him and put him with that color on there. Let's go ahead and do his little stick. So for that, we're going to use our E44, and I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to color my little stick here he's holding in, because it's pretty dinky. So I'm going to color it all the way in. And then if you want to add a little bit of shadows to it, you come back and you can add a second coat. So I'm just going to add a little swipe here at the top of the stick to make it a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to do a shirt next. So for a shirt, we're going to use E47, 44, and 43. So E47 for his little shirt. So let's do a little swipe here on the back of his sleeve. And then for the front of his shirt, he's got a little dot here. We're going to do red, so let's don't color that. And next we'll add 44. So I'm going to go right across the top of my 47 and come out here to add 44. And we'll fill it in with 43. Okay, that leaves us with the red. So we're going to do our 24, 17, and 14 for all of that. All right, 24 is what we're going to start with. So let's go ahead and start on this little hat patch. Got a little dab like that. And then we're going to do these little dots. And I'm not going to mess with those. Let's just fill those in because they are not too big. So like so. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to do our scarf. I'm being careful not to touch a bunch of other stuff because red's not going to come off. And I forgot his little shirt. Right here is a sleeve of his shirt. So I'm going to fill that in. We don't want to make that too complicated. Okay, so next we're going to add R17. So we're just going to come along and brush over our 24 and add 17 right on top of it. I'm going to fill in this little patch right here that's left. And then we're going to fill in all of that with R14. I'm just going to go along here. I'm going to be careful not to go out of the lines at the top, and then just kind of swirl around on top of the other two colors. So just make sure to swipe over these other two. It kind of helps blend them together a little bit better. All right, we have our little guy all colored, so I'm going to go ahead and use my Spica clear glitter pen to add some sparkle to all of these little snowflakes he has on him. And I'm going to do this little strings for his buttons. And then he's got a bunch of little squiggles on here. So I kind of like to do those. Oh, I forgot to do this little patch on his hat. Right here, that's supposed to be red. I will have to fix that later. So you can totally do without all the squiggles making it sparkle. That is up to you. I just kind of like to add a little bit of something on top and give it a little bit of sparkles. And maybe the little spot here for his little lantern. Okay, quick and easy. All right, let's go. Since he's all colored up, let's go ahead and put our card together. So you got all your parts here. You're going to make sure your card opens in the right direction. So I am going to go like this. Okay, and the next piece is this little wood piece, or you can use the flowers on the back if you prefer that. And I don't have it on here straight. I have it kind of set like this. And then next is your little plaid piece, or if you prefer, you could use the dots on the back. Kind of looks like snowflakes dropping. And then this piece is off kilter like this. Let's go. I'm gonna have it a little bit off down here at the bottom too, sort of like that. Next is our yellow piece. And this piece has like wood green in the back, but I think the corner of the paper had flowers on the back. So if you got the flower piece, you could use that, or the wood on the back. And we'll go like this. And then this one, we're going to use the dot side this time since we used the plaid side over there. But if you chose to use the dots on this bigger piece, you could totally flip this one over and use the plaid. Okay, before we put all this stuff on, let's go with this little guy here. Let me zoom back in. Okay, so when you get your stamp, you get to have a couple of little snowflakes. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink pad to stamp some snowflakes. So first off, let's do our embossing buddy on here. So I'm going to just go up here and put some embossing powder up here on the top of my snowman. And then I'm going to grab a snowflake. So I grabbed one of these little snowflakes with the two snowflakes. And I'm just going to stamp it into my Versamark. And then I'm going to stamp my snowflake onto my snowman. And I'm kind of rotating it around so that you get a different, the snowflakes are going in different directions every time. And you get two, so you could switch it up too and do two different snowflakes. That's up to you. Okay, and then I'm going to use some Ranger super fine detail white embossing powder. And we'll put the little snowflakes on there and put this back. And since I use this one all the time, I have it in this cute little snappy lid thing. Okay, then we're going to brush this off. Okay, so we got our snowflakes on there, so now I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to let it heat up for a second. And then we're just going to emboss these cute little snowflakes. And then, I don't think you can see them on there, maybe a little bit, but they're little white, sparkly snowflakes. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach this little guy to his back. Whoops, go back up. Sorry about that. We're going to attach this on here. And on this little brown piece, there are some little dots on the center, so you want to kind of keep it in the middle of that. So we'll go like that. Okay, but before we put them on, we're going to want to put on this little fence. So I'm going to just grab some liquid glue. Go down here, maybe go down the middle of these a little bit. Whoops, glued my finger. And then we want this along the bottom, so I'm just going to put this, move out of the way, Frosty, down here. And it goes all the way across your card, so it's going to fit clear across like so. Next, we're going to add our snowman. And why isn't my tape working anymore? It's decided to get stuck. There we go. It's having a moment. It's because it's early in the morning today. I'm shooting the video today while Mr. HeathersHobbieHaven is downstairs with the kids before he goes to work. Okay, then we're going to put this. I'm going to kind of move it over a little bit because I need to put my lantern on, so I'm going to put him over here a little bit. Okay, next we're going to put on our lantern. I don't feel like I'm getting any glue out. Maybe I'm still sleeping. Okay, lantern. And I'm going to have it go like this. And then the little, the Frosty guy, he also came with a sentiment that says Merry Christmas. So you could use that on there if you would like to use that one. I didn't really love it. I hate to say that, but I didn't. I didn't really love the font, I guess. And it has like a snowflake on the sentiment, so I just didn't like how it looked after I stamped it. I didn't love it. So I decided I was not putting it on my card. So, but you could totally do that. And I think it would maybe be cuter if you stamped it in like gold or something and a different color, but I tried stamping it in black and some yellow and I just couldn't get it to look right. And then when I got it on my card, I wanted to stick it like right here and this bird was in the way, so I just decided to leave it off. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my Stickles Stardust and I'm just going to swirl that around down here on the snow. You could leave this part off. I just think it looks, makes it look like it's got some snow or something down here at the bottom. Or if you have some crafty fluff or some other kind of snow stuff, you could put that down here. I think that would look cool too. But I'm going to go with the sparkles today. So there he is. There is Mr. Frosty, all colored up and stamped and embossed. Isn't he adorable? I'll put a link to the card kit down in the description box if you'd like to pick him up. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. If you love the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fabulous day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.